Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Thomas of Woodstock, and we're going to get to hear from Thomas one more time today, but we are going to finish up with Act 1, Scene 3. So it's been quite a scene. Queen Anne was coronated, and Thomas went to say some good things, but he also snuck in some sort of undercuts at King Richard, who didn't take too kindly to that, who started sniping at Thomas, and they got into it, and it finally came out that the flatterers are a bad idea, and Richard was like, well, I don't care what you think, and Thomas said, well, let me at least take all of these goods that Arundel brought back and sell them so that we can sort of like kickstart the economy and your citizens can have some money again. And Richard was like, no, I gave all of that to my flatterers along with some new fancy titles, and I don't care what you say, and you better watch yourself or I'm going to come for you. And he left with some sniping words coming from the flatterers on their way out too. So now the uncles are like, what is making him behave like this? But before they could dig too deep into that, Cheney comes in and tells them that a rebellion is starting. The citizens of Kent and the citizens of Essex are starting a rebellion. So Thomas is like, I kind of get it, but also I don't quite know what to do. And Gaunt is like, well, let's get the king away from his flatterers and then we can, mount a war and squash this rebellion and the people will be quiet. And Thomas says, not so, not so. Alack the day, good brother. We may not so affright the tender prince. Will bear us nobly for the kingdom's safety and the king's honor. Therefore list to me. You, brother Gaunt, and noble Arundel, shall undertake by threats or fair entreaty to pacify the murmuring commons' rage. And whiles you there employ your service hours, we presently will call a parliament and have their deeds examined thoroughly, where, if by fair means we can win no favor, nor make King Richard leave their companies, we'll thus resolve for our dear country's good to right her wrongs, or for it spend our bloods. So this is Thomas once again being diplomatic about things. He had said earlier, like before the coronation, he was like, we're all going to have to be on our best behavior. We can't scare King Richard. And he was hoping that Anne's mildness might draw Richard away from his flatterers. He's employing that same tactic again here. He's like, we can't go in guns a-blazing, say, get rid of these men who you've just given these huge titles to. He's like, we have to still do everything sort of above board. So Gaunt and Arundel, you're going to go and try to negotiate with the rebels, try to calm them down, hopefully without bloodshed, without war, that sort of thing. Just go and negotiate with them and see if you can reach some sort of peace. Meanwhile, we're going to stay here and put Bagot and Green and Tressilian on trial, in front of Parliament, to talk about the things that they have instituted in the country, or the things that they've encouraged Richard to institute within the country, and examine them. This is what they did. This was the end result. And hopefully we'll make some headway there. But he finishes by saying, if we can't, then we will have tried everything. So then we can go to war about it. Then we can, then there can possibly be bloodshed. So he's being very diplomatic here, and the uncles agree, and that's the end of the scene. So a little bit of a civil war. And for once in a history play, it's not about succession. It's about who the counselors to the king are at the present moment and what effect they are having on the country. So it'll be interesting to see where this one goes from here. I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.